All right. We are just about kicking off. Welcome everyone. Just a few more minutes and then we can kickstart.
Welcome, sir. Thanks for this opportunity.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to another session, free taster session. Every single month, we run a free taster session just to empower every member of our community and every researcher student. You're welcome to this month's taster session, SPSS free taster session. All right, so this is Alpha Research Plus Consult. We are the ones bringing you these free tester sessions and many other trainings that we currently run. All right, we'll just run through this briefly and then we can get into the training proper. All right, Alpha Research Plus Consult is a research training and consulting company, and we are dedicated to strengthening research capacity and supporting evidence-based decision-making among individuals, institutions, organizations, and development practitioners. So we serve a wide range of clientele. We have a wide range of clientele. We serve individuals, we serve institutions, organizations, and development practitioners. And our aim is to empower everyone to in their research journey, right? Because we know that research is at the bedrock, is the foundation for, development and, of course, progress. So we work with individuals, and part of the things we do is that we run trainings, a lot of trainings since we started last year. We are registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and we have our company registration number. So we have been running a couple of trainings since last year. I'll just run through a few that we have here. So we've run free tester sessions on SPSS. This was in July 2025, and this was in August 2025. So we have also had a free tester session on getting published in a high impact journal in 3 months. So this one was geared towards empowering researchers on how to get published, because we know that sometimes we have, good researches, but the way to get into high impact journals, people struggle with it. So that was what this tester session was meant to usher us into. We have also run SPSS masterclass, a 4-week masterclass on SPSS. So where we trained participants, on the use of SPSS for data analysis. This was the first cohort that we had. That was last year. And then we also had the cohort 2 with testimonies. We have also had a tester session on research methods 001, where we studied sampling methods. We had a lot of facilitators for this particular class, about 4 facilitators, and it was beautiful. And of course, all of these trainings, the tester sessions are available on our YouTube channel. Let me just go back a bit. Our YouTube channel is Alpha Research Plus Consults. So you can search for us on YouTube, Alpha Research Plus Consults, and subscribe. Of course, hit the notification bell so that whatever content comes on, comes on board, you can be a beneficiary of such content. All right, so all of these trainings are available on our YouTube channel, most of them, especially the free ones. We have also, we had a free tester session on the art and science of qualitative research craftsmanship. Right, this helps participants to refine their skills, strengthen their research voice, and of course, master the craft of qualitative inquiry. Then in December, we had our first episode of Researchers Fireside Chat, and that episode handled, we talked around the theme. So you want to be a grant and scholarship winner. The Fireside Chat is basically a chat, the way you can chat around Fireside. So we bring in qualified individuals, and then we just have a back and forth conversations, ask them questions on certain topics that are of beneficiary to everyone. So we had that conversation in December, the first episode. We've also run the cohort 3 of SPSS training. This was in February this year. And then we have also had a free tester on the use of artificial intelligence in research and practice, which was very impactful. And you have to look out for the masterclass of this particular training. And then we went on to start working on researchers toolkits, what we call researchers toolkits, basically training us in different platforms or tools that we can use for our research, that can enhance our research workflow. So for now, we have been focusing on Canva, MS Excel, and MS Word, but in the nearest future, we'll go into other tools. So this researchers toolkit is geared towards training researchers on the use of Canva, on MS Excel automation, and MS Word automation. We know that research is stressful on its own. So having a tool and knowing how to use the tool effectively will definitely enhance your workflow. Right. So I've been on this journey. This was the first cohort that was in March this year. So this runs monthly. So you can, do where to join the next cohort. We have also had a free tester session, Researchers Fireside Chat, episode 2. This was Was it in February also? Yeah, it should be. No, that was in March. Sorry, that was March. And we looked at studying abroad on scholarship. We had a very powerful conversation with Dr. Ifeyinwa. And we have also had a free tester on referencing manager. This was in April. Yeah, referencing manager was a free tester in April. And then in May, we had a free tester on Canva for researchers. And then this is June, and we are holding SPSS free tester once again. And so as you can see, we are committed to your research journey. We are committed as long as you are you belong to our community. So this means that even after this training, you don't say, oh, the training has ended, so let me leave the community. No, we hold trainings. You can be sure that as a member of the Alpha Research Plus consults, you can be sure that you will be receiving trainings often. So this, a whole lot is on board for you. All right. So what we have upcoming next month, we also have our Researchers Toolkit Cohort 4. We have run 3 cohorts with testimonies and results. So next month we would go for cohort 4 of our Researchers Toolkit, which will be starting 9th of July. And our SPSS Masterclass, also cohort 4, will be starting on the 10th of July. So the Researchers Toolkit runs every Thursday. So Thursday, we have Researchers Toolkit, then Friday and Saturday, we have SPSS Masterclass, and both of them will run for 4 weeks. Also ahead of us, we will have the Masterclass on Artificial Intelligence in Research, how to use artificial intelligence to aid your research journey. That's upcoming, and also GIS training for mapping is also upcoming. And also finally upcoming in our sleeve, we have referencing your publication, the masterclass. All of this, we have run their tester sessions. And so this masterclass would go further into the journey, to make sure that we are properly trained or adequately trained. Yeah. Okay. So this is the 4-week SPSS training that is commencing next month. This SPSS training is commencing next month on the 10th, like I've just said. And the link for registration is what you have down there, bit.ly/SPSS Masterclass. And then for the Researchers Toolkit Cohort 4 is also commencing next month. And the link for registration is also down there, bit.ly/Alpha RTK. All right. Our services in Alpha Research Plus Consult, we don't just do trainings. Of course, we do trainings, but there are other things that we also do. We have one-on-one consultation in case you want to consult us on your research journey, a particular research topic or protocol, or for maybe your thesis, master's, PhD, MPhil, whatever the case may be, or your research, whatever the case may be. You can have a one-on-one consultation across any level of the research, whether for conceptualization or for what's it called, now methodology, data analysis, and all of that. At any level, we can have one-on-one consultation. We also have SPSS, like I've said, SPSS master classes, GIS training for mapping, qualitative methodology, AI prompting, different AI tools. All of these trainings are hands-on actually. So we don't just come and do theory. We work along with the participants. Manuscript writing, if you want to engage us to partner with you in writing your manuscript, or to train you on how to write the manuscripts, you can also reach out to us. And then research tools, trainings, data analysis. Yes, so we do data analysis for researchers and students, researchers, basically everyone. So if you have done your research and you want the data analyzed, you can reach out to us. So if you're in need of any of these services, the contact of the admin is right there on the screen. You can just reach out to the admin and we'll get it going. Also, we also offer proposal support. If you need support for your proposal, it's part of our services. And project management. Yeah, we can manage your project, your research project, and or whatnot. All right, starter software, group physical training. So this group physical training is talking about if you have, let's say your department at work, you want to be trained on a particular angle or research area, you can reach out to us. We will organize physical trainings and we'll come physically to do the training for the group. Yeah, so and then also reference managers. Okay, as our custom, has been, we usually would want to give you some words to encourage you on your journey. So we call it words on marble. And so we'll just take a few for tonight. As for the future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. We'll just take two and then midway or some when we have our break, we can take the remaining so that we can get on with the training as soon as we can. So as for your future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. So don't just foresee the future, also work towards the future, right? Because if only you see and you don't work towards it and enable it, you cannot reach it. The expert in anything was once a beginner, right? So in any whatever you want to learn, just put your heart at it, right? And you will learn it. Every expert you are seeing today was once a beginner. So it's usually a journey. Yeah, it's usually a journey. All right, we are going to skip the other ones. We'll come back to it later. Quickly want to get into what we have for tonight, the SPSS TASTER session. And this is our facilitator. Our facilitator is Dr. Ogonangwankwo. And I'll just read quickly a brief profile. All right, Dr. Ogonangwankwo is an internationally trained public health expert and mixed method researcher with over a decade of operational excellence across academia, clinical medicine, epidemiology, and implementation research project design and execution. An alumnus of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and the London School of Economics with advanced training from the University of Oxford, Imperial College London, the University of Basel, and the European Educational Program in epidemiology, amongst other trainings. He is also a fellow of the West African College of Physicians, Community Health. As a seasoned consultant, he has advised numerous local and international governmental bodies, non-governmental organizations, and multilateral agencies. As a master trainer in quantitative and qualitative research methodologies and data analysis tools, he has a proven track record of building capacity among undergraduate and postgraduate students, health workforces, health managers, and senior policymakers. All right, so we make welcome our facilitator for tonight, Dr. Ogonangwankwo. Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. The floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for those kind words. I think I would like to share my screen so that we can start, and then I don't know, but it seems like we may need to give 2 minutes or so for some people to join in with the link so that we can just quickly start. So maybe I'll just give another 2 minutes and then I will start. So admin, please, I think you may need to, I think there I think some people are having some challenges joining in with the Zoom link. Maybe you can share it again on the different groups. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Okay, so I think I'll start sharing my screen, and I think the rest can come on. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me clearly. Hello? Hello? Can anyone confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to facilitate this quick training this evening. As I've been introduced, my name is Ogonna Nwankwo, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this training this evening. I believe we're going to learn quite a lot. This is a precursor to other greater trainings that are going to go on, but it's a great way to really learn on the ways to analyze data using a common statistical package tool known as SPSS. Now, to start off, I just need to mention that there are different types of tools, statistical analysis tools that one can use for analysis. There's SPSS, there's R, there is there is Stata, there is SAS, there's Python, and of course, even as simple as Excel is also a tool that some people use for doing analysis. But one advantage that people like about using SPSS is because it is user-friendly, a click function-based statistical tool, although it has a syntax where you can put in commands, unlike some other softwares that is heavily command-based. So it's something that you can just click, you know, not like the way, you know, when originally the PC started, the personal computer started, a lot of them was based on the MS-DOS program where you had to type in commands to get what you needed. But in this case, the SPSS is more, one of the functions people like is user friendliness in terms of the click option. And so that makes it quite user friendly, and you can use it to do a wide range of analysis that you need to do. I mean, some others are more command based, or where you write a lot of codes and syntax to run, like things like R, Stata, and the rest of them. So just to state that the module for SPSS training, we've tried to make this to be more of a hands-on training. This is not a statistical training. So we're not here really to delve deep into statistics, you know, biostatistics. That is the engine room on which these tools run. But we are rather here to talk more about the analytical tool for the statistics, which is SPSS. And so based on that, we've broken it into different modules. And for this evening, we are looking more at engaging with module 1. And then we see how far we can go with that. And then subsequently, we will run other modules, okay? And just to give us an idea of the different packages of modules that exist for SPSS, there's also the module 2, which has to do with data cleaning and manipulation of your data. Module 3, which is now running about how to use the software in running your descriptive biostatistics and others. And module 4, where you talk about bivariate analysis. And then module 5, which now has to do a lot with hypothesis testing, especially for continuous data, where you are now using things like independent t-test, paired sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, the non-parametric tests, like using things like Kruskal-Wallis and others test. And then, of course, there's also the intermediate to advanced modules for SPSS training, which includes things like correlation and introductory linear modeling or linear regression, then more advanced epidemiological modeling around logistic regression, more about multivariate analysis, and multivariable analysis. Of course, you also have things like survival analysis and time to event data, and then advanced regression methods for randomized control trials and analyzing complex designs and cluster trials. Okay. So for today, just like I've said, we are going to start from the basics, which starts with looking at questionnaires. We're going to start with introduction to coding of questionnaires, demonstration of variable definitions in questionnaire, and then we go straight to the SPSS software. You need to listen carefully, because although it may seem like, is this really, really important, as against delving straight into the SPSS software? But the thing is that some of these concepts, if you get it once, it makes your work on the SPSS package much more easier and straightforward. So what I've tried to do is I've tried from the demographic health survey questionnaire to pull out some questions and also ordinary questions that usually one would have in a questionnaire. The idea is to use it to explain the concepts that we are going to talk about in terms of variable. So variable, when I mention variable, we mean the characteristics of interest that the researcher is interested in. For instance, if I'm interested in age, that is a variable. So you can see there's a question that says, what is your age as of your last birthday? Okay. Or what is your sex? So sex is now my interest. Or has now in bracket named the respondent, that's the person you're interviewing, ever attended school or an early childhood educational program. So attendance to early childhood educational program may be your interest in that case. So these are different question types, okay? And when you look at this, you can find out that some of the questions are open-ended, some are closed-ended. So if you look at question 1, in some sense, it is open-ended in the sense that you can answer and put in any numbers there. It has not tied you down to a few options as compared to 1.2, which you can see is closed-ended because you have 2 options, actually like a binary option to select either male or female. And then, of course, based on this also, you can go ahead to talk about what we describe as a mixed variant and some questions that you can describe as tests. So like, what is the main material of the floor in your dwelling? You can see earth, stroke sand, there's wood planks, there's ceramic tiles, there's cement, and then you can see others, and then where they have the option for you to fill in what you mean by the others. For instance, whether it is marble or whether it is made of other materials. So here, the person, for instance, may have other things. So the person writes freely or says freely what it is. So in this case, this last bit, these orders, that the person is feeling what the orders are, now becomes a test, and usually another word used to describe it is string variable. So when you write in words and not in numbers. Generally, we know computers generally are more interested in having numbers. Numeric in terms of number count is something variable. So when you write in words and not in numbers. Generally, we know computers generally
time in this first half at the Los Angeles Stadium. Big match, the knockout stage, the World Cup 2026. Johnson.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can
Hi.
hear you now, sir. But I think
Hi.
Okay. Okay. So I've just generally tried to give some quick backgrounds around this so that you can understand when we are talking about question types, what we mean. This is very, very important because eventually this usually will pan out in deciding some selections you will make when you are trying to code your questionnaire on SPSS. Okay. So you can also see other questions, which is asking what is the respondent's height in meters. Now you can find out that this will be in numbers. It is something you can count, right? So that is numeric variable in the sense that the numbers, there are numbers that can increase or decrease. As against when you come to the earlier ones, like when I said, what is your sex, where it is male and female, this is more of a categorical, qualitative variable. And actually, it is a dichotomous if it is just male and female they have, or yes and no. But it could be more like in what is the highest level of school, where you can see there are 4 options from which to select. Okay. So now, I've explained to us what variables are. Now we need to realize that there's what is called the scales of measurement. And the scales of measurement is classically based on that every variable of interest can be categorized into one of 4 options. And usually the scales of measurement for variables are divided into nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio variables or scales of measurement. And so one pseudonym for remembering is Noy like in terms of black in French, where N represents nominal, O represents ordinal, I represents interval, and ratio, R represents ratio. So now let's get down to what each one means. I'm just taking my time to build this concept because it is very, very important. By the time we get into the opening up the SPSS software and how to use it. So now, nominal variables are usually qualitative and categorical only. They cannot be numeric. I've already explained what numeric means. Numeric usually are things that can be measured. Okay, things you can measure or count, right? Like you can measure people's weight, people's height, you know, that those ones are more of numeric, or things you can count in the sense like the numbers keep going on and on. Okay. So usually for nominal, the main thing about nominal variables is that they have an identity. So you can say this is distinct, right? Distinct identity. But the thing is that they have no inherent rank or order. None is bigger than the others. So usually what you just do is that you assign numbers to them just as codes, which is you code those identities that they have, the different manifestation of the identities that they have. So a good example is something like blood type or blood group. Okay. So in blood group, there's blood group A, blood group B, blood group AB, blood group O, right? Now, is any one of them higher or better than the other? I mean on a nominal scale, not on a functional. I mean, is there anyone that is higher or lower than the other? Is there any sort of ranking for the different types of blood group? Can anybody give me a quick answer? Hello? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you.
There is no one.
Okay, I was asking, when you look at it, do you think that there is any one that is higher or lower than the other in terms of the different blood groups?
There is none that is higher.
Exactly.
None.
Exactly. So I know this one is going to be controversial, but please permit me to use it as an example. Another one is if you talk about countries, right? So I mean, just think about the World Cup. I know they try to do ranking for people, but basically when countries are mentioned, they're just countries, they're just an identity, a geographical identification of a group of people that live within a geographical area. I mean, of course, there are other functional things, okay? But another good example is also something like sex, okay? Male, female, usually is just an identity. It does not assign rank to say this is, this one comes before the other, you know, if you want to do anything, okay? So that's nominal. The next one is ordinal. Again, it is qualitative and categorical, but in addition to having identity, now there is a way you can meaningfully rank the different the different options or categories under it. So a typical example is something like socioeconomic status, right? Or education. You can say that somebody that has gone to primary school is lower than somebody that has gone to secondary school is lower than, that is what you expect. But the truth is that the interval, there is no well cut out interval between, when we say, for instance, low socioeconomic status to middle. You can't say this is the interval. Usually it is based on some characteristics. If you match into those characteristics, you are said to have that particular ranking, if you get what I mean, okay? So in essence, there is actually no equidistance between low and middle and high, okay? So that is an example of ordinal. A lot of times, the type of questions that are used to really pick out this is even things like a scale, you know, like you ask people whether they agree or strongly disagree, strongly agree or strongly disagree, between strongly disagree to strongly agree on an issue, and then they select. You can find out that between saying someone strongly disagree and disagree, what is the distance gap between it? Although we usually assign numbers to it, okay? So that is an example of ordinal. Then the next one is you now enter into the quantitative numeric data. And the very first one is interval. Now, the good thing about once you get to interval, about what we've said before in terms of identity ranking, is that now there is equal intervals between values. However, the challenge with this particular one is that there is no true 0 point. So usually 0 is is arbitrarily decided, it does not mean that the person does not have a trait or characteristics. So an example is temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit. 0 degrees Celsius or centigrade does not mean 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Another good one is something like IQ score. That you say that someone's IQ is very, very low or 0 does not mean that the person does not have intelligent quotient even at that score. Okay. And of course, when you say calendar years, okay, so if you notice, the calendars are based on a mark point. So we have 0 before Christ, then 0 AD, which is the mark to start is usually after the death of Christ that is used. But it does not mean that years do not exist before then. Okay, I hope that is clear, because this interval is the one that is usually confusing to a lot of people. Okay, and then finally, of course, is the ratio, which again is quantitative numeric. Now, it has all the properties of the interval scale, but in addition, it now has a true absolute 0. Okay, so example is height and weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to each of those questions we've looked at, and I'm going to ask us to state what type of scale of measurement you think it is. So let us go. So when you talk about what is your age as of your last birthday, what type of scale do you think it is? So what I think you can do is you can, of course, chart on the chart box. N represent nominal, O represent ordinal, I represents interval, and R represents ratio. So what do we think this is? Can we type? Can we comment? Okay. Okay. Can more people type? Okay, so somebody has typed ordinal. Well, the number one is what is your age as of your last birthday? So first of all, it is a numeric data because you can count, you know, first 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like that. Just that is a discrete whole number. It is not continuous. Okay. And somehow you can truly start across the world. 1 year represents 1 year. That means you have gone 365 days in a year. So I think it would rather be more like a ratio. Now, for 1.2, what is your CES? And there were 2 options. What do we think the answer can be? Can we type again? Okay. Beautiful. Exactly, nominal. It's nominal because it has an identity, but there is no ranking of an order in it. Okay, 2.2, what do we think is the answer? What is the highest level of school the person has attended? Is it nominal? Is it ordinal? Is it interval? Is it a ratio? Nominal. Beautiful again. The question I will ask you is, if you say it is nominal, right? Primary school and secondary school, do you feel one will be placed higher than the other? As against somebody that did not go to school. Exactly. Based on that, the answer would rather tilt more towards ordinal. It has an identity, but because you can rank it, you can say this one is higher than the other. So based on that, you would rather say this is ordinal. Okay. Okay, so let's see this. What is the respondent's temperature? 4.5. What do we think? Is it nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio? Yes, it is interval. It is interval because there's actually there is no absolute 0 degrees centigrade. Okay, it can mean different things. However, let me also quickly say this. Although we have said that temperature for Celsius or centigrade and Fahrenheit is interval, there is an absolute 0 which is called Kelvin. So just know that if you have a temperature that is Kelvin, it has an absolute 0. And so with that, instead of being interval, it will become a ratio. Okay. Okay, so this is fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause for a minute and take any questions. And after that, we'll go straight into the SPSS package. Okay, over. Do we have any question so far? Hello? Hello? Okay.
Hi.
Okay, I was asking, is there any question or we are okay with this now?
We are okay.
Okay, that's fine. So we are going to go straight into SPSS now. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'm trying to open up.
Is the meeting over?
No, it's not. Let me try to, maybe his network is having a little bit of challenge. Just a few minutes, let me get across the facilitator. But it's not over. It's not over yet. It can't be over actually. Please just hang on for some time. Right. While we wait for the facilitator to come back on, let's just run through this announcement again. For those that may have joined after we. Sorry, just a moment. Please, I think my network also had issues. I guess there was a wave of unstable network. Sorry about that. Please, Ekochin, can you pass back the host to me? Just click on my name and make me host again. Let me share my screen. All right. I've been in communication with the facilitator. He was just logged out, so I guess it's network issues. He's trying to reboot his devices to see if he can come on again. Anyway, that's one thing that happens with technology, you know. But I believe that he will come back. He will come back in again as soon as possible. As soon as possible. We still have about 45 minutes to the end of this tester session. So hopefully in the next couple of minutes he should be back up. All right, but while we wait for him to come back up, I'll just run through this quickly. So of course this is Alpha Research Plus Consult, and we are a registered company with the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria, and our aim, or who we are, just a sneak peek into who we are. We're a research, training, and consulting company, and our dedication is to strengthen research capacity and also support evidence-based decision-making among individuals, institutions, organizations, and development practitioners. Yeah, and we are on YouTube, so we also live stream on YouTube and also upload resources on our YouTube channel. So you can do it to subscribe and click the notification bell. So we have run a couple of trainings right from last year, mid last year, from July of last year. We ran SPSS free tester session, and in August we ran another one. We have also had a tester session on publishing in high impact journals in 3 months. So we trained people on how to go about getting published in high impact journals. We've also had master classes on SPSS, and the first cohort was in was it September now? Yeah, I think that was in September. Yeah. And then we've also had the second cohort in November. Then we also had a tester session on research methods, sampling methods. So basically, we try to hold at one tester session every month. So we have a free training every month, you know, as long as you're in our community, you'll see the adverts, you'll see the adverts whenever we want to hold the training sessions. So it will always be posted to the groups, the training hubs. So we hold one TASTER session every month free for researchers. It's just our way of giving back to the community of researchers that we have. So in October last year, we had our research methods 001, and we looked at sampling methods. Also in November, we had our free TASTER session on the art and science of qualitative research craftsmanship. So we looked at qualitative research wholesomely. And in December, we held our first researchers fireside chat, and we looked at grants and scholarship, how to win grants and scholarships. And I think that was the last training we had last year. So getting into this year, we had our cohort 3 of SPSS training, the masterclass. Then in February, we did artificial intelligence free TASTER. So we got trained on how to use AI in research and practice. And this masterclass will still be is still upcoming. So look out for it. Then we also started Researchers Toolkit, which is geared towards empowering researchers on the use of different tools, even the tools that we are constantly using. You are likely not using it optimally. Yes. MS Word, MS Excel, you are likely not using it optimally. And also we also teach Canva. You can use Canva to prepare your presentation slides. Actually, the slide that you're looking at was prepared on Canva, using a Canva template. So we train researchers on these tools, and in the future we'll add more tools. Also, we had our researchers fireside chats that was in March, and we looked at studying abroad on scholarships. We also did free TASTER on referencing manager. That was in April, and in May we had a free TASTER on Canva. And this is June, and we are looking at SPSS once again. All right. Upcoming, like I said earlier, we have cohort 4 of Researchers Toolkit, which is starting next week or upper Thursday, next 2 weeks. And then SPSS Masterclass, also next 2 weeks, Friday. So Researchers Toolkit holds on Thursdays. Then SPSS Masterclasses holds Fridays and Saturdays. And then also ahead of us is at AI in research. That's the masterclass, and also GIS training for mapping, and also referencing your publication, the masterclass. So to register for the SPSS masterclass, you can just pick the link here, bit.ly, that's bit.ly/SPSS masterclass, all in lowercase, all in small letters, bit.ly/SPSS masterclass. So this masterclass is coming up next month, from the 10th, and it's going to run for 4 weeks, 2 sessions per week, Friday and Saturday, 2 hours. So at the end, you should have at least
Hello?
Okay, all right. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back, sir.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So sorry, everyone. I don't know. I think my network went off, but I'm glad to be back. So please, I'll share the SPSS. Okay, so first of all, if you already have SPSS installed in your system, 2 places you can search for it. You can go to your Windows search box and type SPSS. and it will bring out for you whether it's IBM SPSS statistics 27 or more that you have, or if you've pinned it to your taskbar like I've done, all you just need to do is to go to it on your taskbar and double click on it like I've done now. So it brings out for me it's asking me whether I should do auto recovery of the old files I have, like a dialog box, and then I say open. Okay, so it pulls out for me the old stuffs I have. So I just click on new data because I want to just work with a new data. Okay, so invariably, when you open IBM SPSS, like I've mentioned, is one of the statistical tools we use in doing analysis, both descriptive and inferential analysis. And like I showed us earlier, there are different types of analysis you can run with SPSS. So usually you find out that it has three main windows, okay? Now I am on the variable view. This is the data view, and this is the variable view. Now, the third view is the output view, where it shows you the results as well as the syntax that underlines the analysis it is running. As we all remember, in the olden days, well before all these tools were there, the way statistics was carried out is that people would actually use by hand to do the analysis, the calculations. But now things have changed differently with all these analytical tools. So you can see on one side is a variable view, on the other side is the data view. Now, the variable view is where you instruct SPSS concerning each of your questionnaire, what it represents or what it will mean for it, okay? So I would like to use the tools, the questionnaire, the few questions we had used before, just to demonstrate a few things. So if you remember, the first question was, what is your age as of your last birthday? Okay. So let's assume that this is your questionnaires in this order, and you want to impute them on SPSS. Now, let's remember how it happens. You develop your questionnaire, you take it to the field, you meet your respondents, they fill it for you, and then you take it back and you need to now work on it, okay? This is if you are, of course, not using an electronic data capturing tool, because you can also use some type of questionnaire that that as you administer to the individual, the results, the answers or responses are automatically captured into your data entry. But after you've collected, sorry, it seems somebody's device is on. Please, can we mute ourselves? Hello? Okay, fine. So now when you've collected questionnaire from the individual, you now want to go and enter it in. Now, for each of your questions on your questionnaire, you need to tell SPSS the characteristics of each of the variables. So for instance, this question type we have, it says, what is your age as of your last birthday? So when you come, first of all, what you are going to fill is that you're going to fill the variable view. In the variable view, you are telling SPSS, for each of these, my question, this is what it represents. These are the type of data that should be entered in. So for instance, age as of last birthday, first of all, is a numeric data. Okay, so now in this variable view where you are going to enter the characteristics of each variable, you need to note that SPSS has columns and they mean different things. So the first one says name. Now what it means is the pseudonym, the code name, the name that you will use for SPSS to remember. Now, usually this should be a shortened form of what that variable represents. So for me, I can just put it as age. Now you need to note that if you try to give space for this column name that is called name, SPSS will reject it. So let's say I try to say age at last birthday. Immediately I say I want to move to the next question. See, it says variable name contains an illegal character. So the only way you can do that is except to use underscore or full stop. So look at age last, and it will take it. And immediately you do it, SPSS will automatically fill the rest of the columns, but you need to go through them one by one, and we are going to go through them one by one and explain. If you remember, we took our time in explaining characteristics of variables earlier on. So now let's say this type, right? Now, when you click on type, variable type, SPSS is asking you this variable you want to code. What is the variable types? So for instance, is it a numeric? Is it a date? Is it string? Usually for most people, what we use is either is numeric or string. Remember I explained to us that strings usually is when you have to write in words, as in like for the responses, people are going to write different words. Like now when we talked about others, how did your day go? And then you leave it open for people to answer. Some will say very happy, some will say today was horrible, somebody will say, oh, the weather was this. So you can see different variations. So in that case, it is a string variable. Once it is words that you are going to like type in, then it is a string variable. Now, the next thing talks about width, which is the length or space it will allow in terms of figures or numbers for you to type. Then the next one is decimal. If you think the particular variable should have decimal. In this case, age and last birthday will not have decimal, so I will reduce it to 0 by clicking on the drop bar. Now, the next one says label. Now, this is now where you can write in full, and you can write with space age at last birthday. So this is the one that you write in full what that name means. Now, the next column says values. Now, since we left it open for people to fill, we're not going to put in anything in values because we've not coded anything. Then the next one is missing. Now, in missing is that if, for instance, when you ask people, some people did not fill it, you now put a value that you know it is impossible for anybody to attain in that particular variable option, so that when you type it into the questionnaire that you are doing the entry, SPSS will recognize it as missing. So what do we mean by missing? Missing means that when you share questionnaire, you find out a lot of times people may not answer every single question. They may skip some, even though it is important. So those ones are said to be missing. So this missing is a way to tell SPSS, when you see something like this, so please note it. This means that this variable in this particular characteristics was not filled. So let's say, for instance, this age, our last birthday, the age I suspect that we cannot have anybody that will meet it up is 999. So I'll click on missing. You can see it says no missing value. It says discrete missing value. So here I type 999 and then I click OK. So it now knows that whenever you type 999 anywhere, it means the variable is missing. And then, of course, the last question now is what type of measure, I'm talking of the main ones that matter. What type of measure is it? Is it nominal? Is it ordinal? Is it scale? So usually for the ones that are quantitative enough, we usually like using scale. Okay, now, the next question is, what is your sex? Okay, and the options is male and female. Now, like as I said, it is a categorical data. You will code the options, and that coding is what you code in what is known as a code book. A code book is just a sheet where you write what each code number means. So for instance, I can decide that male will be 1 and female will be 2. So here, under name, I will just put it as sex. Immediately I do that, it will change everything to type for me to numeric. Width is 8, decimal, it says is 2, but I'll drop it to 0. Here, it asks me this label name. I'll write it as sales. Now, under values, remember I've talked about coding it such that you want to tell SPSS, when you see 1, know that it's male. When you see 2, know that it's female. So you have to now impute it into these values column. So you just click on this small icon on the right-hand most point of the cell. And then where it says value, you type 1, label, we say is male, and we add. Then we now type the next one, 2, and label, we say is female. Sorry. Female, and then we add, and we click OK. Okay. Now, missing. Now, for missing, maybe I've already agreed that if I see any script that is missing, I should give it a 9. Since the only options that are correct is 1 and 2. So I keep my discrete missing value as 9. And then I go to the measure, right? This is categorical, so it's either a nominal or ordinal. And so I put it as a nominal. Is that okay? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hi.
Okay, is this fine with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, so now let me go to the next question. I think I've talked about this. Let me go to a string variable. What is the highest grade completed? Okay. So let me go to something that is okay. I'm just trying to make it a very simple one. So what is the highest grade completed at that level? So let's assume that someone is supposed to write different things, maybe primary, secondary, tertiary, technical, and I have not categorized it. That's I'm doing 2.3. So I'll come to name, I'll say highest underscore education, edu. Okay. You can see it says type numeric, but since the people are going to type directly the different things, I have not coded anything. I'm going to change this type into string and click OK. And then here I will say highest education attained. Values, I'm not putting anything here because it's string. Missing, I'm also not putting anything, and I'm leaving it as nominal. Okay. Now let me pick another. Okay. What is the main material of the floor in your dwelling? So you can see earth, sand, wood planks, ceramic tiles, cement, others. So I will on my own code it that earth, sand is 1, wood planks 2, ceramic 3, cement 4, others 5. Okay. So this is floor underscore material. And of course, this will be numeric. The decimal places, I'll drop it to 0. I'll say quality of flooring materials, okay? Then I'll go to values, right? I will click on this rightmost push button, and then I'll start typing value 1. From our distance, 1 is earth and earth. So after typing the label, I say add 2 is wood. 3 is ceramic tiles. So tiles. 4 is cement. Then 5 is others, I think. Others. And then I click OK. So now I'll come to the missing column. I already know that maybe some people did not select anything here or fill anything. And I want to tell SPSS, when you see a certain number, let it tell you that some things are missing. There's a reason why you do that. We'll see that by the time we start running the analysis. So I come to discrete missing values. I click on 9. I click OK. I go to nominal, ordinal, floor materials. So it's either nominal or ordinal. So if I consider it ordinal, based on that, I feel that maybe someone that has, as in the earth flooring is maybe poorer compared to cement, compared to ceramic tiles, then I can make this an ordinal. But if I just consider them as different flooring types, then I can leave them as nominal. So let's just do ordinal. Okay. Okay. So now, if you click on your data view, you can see each of the data you've created has been added on the data view. It is now for you to impute the raw figures and data you are getting from off the field. So like H, maybe let's say the first respondent, sorry, as a rule, let me state this. Usually the first variable we like creating in SPSS is serial number. The reason is that it is also a good marker to help you for quality control and in case you need to move around your data so that there's a permanent number you can use in marking your questionnaires, okay? Of course, one trick about this is that even if this serial number was here, you can move it up by clicking at the leftmost cell and then lifting it up or down, however you want it to move. Okay. So now, this is questionnaire 1. Maybe you check the age, they say is 35. You can see it says. Now, instead of typing male, right, you can just use the number, which is 1, and it will automatically make it to be male. The highest education, let's say primary. Floor material. Let's give him wood. That's for questionnaire 1. Now, on the icons on the toolbar for SPSS, you will see an icon button that says 1 and A. That is the icon that changes the coding to numbers and the numbers to coding if you have already created them, like I mentioned, under value and label. So let's click and see what happens. Watch the screen. You see, automatically mail changes. The floor material also changes. Okay. So this is how it works and pans out. And usually this is how it continues and continue to run. And then using here now, you pick the second question here and you fill the data it has. You pick the third one, the fourth one, like that, like that. So for each of them, you fill across. You fill across the rows just to make it for completeness. Okay? So that's what you do. So this is, of course, a manual way of entering your data. Now, at times already, your data may be in SPSS form. So all you just need to do is to import it. Okay? All you just need to do is to import it. So, as in to import, because although I've stated this as one way, that is, I've stated directly entering data from SPSS as you collect your questionnaire. But there are other ways. The other ways that you can import data. So usually one thing that happens is that we like to impute the data into Excel sheet and then import into SPSS, especially when you have already coded the Excel sheets using numbers. It just makes things easy. So let me show us. So if you want to import data, you just click on File, Import Data, and you can see Excel, or if it's a CSV file, you click on it. So let's click on Excel. And then so, like as I said, just a minute. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to find the file. So so let's assume I want to open import. So I just click on File, Import Data. Since I want to import an Excel, I click on Excel, go to where it is, which is my desktop. And then I import here. I found the file, I click on Open. Immediately, you bring up a dialog box where it's asking me, so so like as I said, you just click on File, Open, File. You click on File, Import Data, go to the type, if it's Excel or CSV file. So I click on Excel, prevalence of ARI. I open it, and it brings out a dialog box. Now you can see worksheet. Now with the worksheet, if there are many worksheets, when you click here, it can show you the different ones under this particular file. Then it asked me whether I want the read variable names from the first row, which I tick, the percentage of values. If I don't tick it, you'll find out that that particular one becomes the first row. If you notice below here, the preview, when I didn't tick it, age V2 says was part of the row. Then I click on OK, and automatically it has imported the data for me. So I'll now go to the variable view to update all those characteristics that we've done before, like age, write it in full, make sure the width is increased, no decimals, it is scale, not nominal. I put what should be the code for missing just like that, I go through. Okay. So I don't know if there are any questions at this very point. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Okay,
Hi.
I don't know if there are any questions at this point. Okay, you missed out the import. Okay, so let me do it again. Just watch. So if I want to import, there are two ways. You can, well, let me just use the most straightforward one, okay? There are many ways, but let me just use this one that is pretty. I click on File. After I've opened my SPSS, I click on File. Now, on that file, there are the drop-down menu. There is New Data, File, there is Open Data, there's Import Data. I go to Import Data, and then they bring out for me the different types of the things, the different files, each format. There's Excel, there's CSV data. Those are the two common ones that we usually know. Excel is the usual Excel. So since this data is an Excel data, I click on it, it takes me to one of my drives where it thinks it may be. Like desktop, I've seen it and its prevalence of ARI. And I click, I'm sure that it's Excel prevalence. I click open. Then it brings out a dialog box asking me, do I want it to read the variable names from the first row of the data so that the first row becomes automatically the heading for each column. If you look at the preview, if I tick off don't read the variable names from the first row, you can see automatically it removes it. But once I click on it, it keeps it there. And I click OK. Voila. And immediately it has imported it. And of course, you can see if you click this A1 button that I mentioned, you can see that the cells, for instance, does not change. So if I want that, I have to go back to the variable view and start filling it. You can see it even calls cells string as against when it should be numeric. So I'll need to work on all of this one by one, change this string to become numeric, and then click on the values such that 1 is male and 2 female. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone. So just like we said, please go to our WhatsApp group. More information will be dropping there. I think we are now going to go into more details now using live questionnaires in the follow-up classes. Like I mentioned earlier, sorry, let me show again. Like when I was speaking earlier, I mentioned that there are different modules. There are different learning modules for SPSS. So what we've tried to do today is just the module 1 on variable view and data view configuration and how to code your questionnaire and the data. Now, in module 2, we'll be going to data cleaning and manipulation. So I want to encourage you all to consider to join us in the master classes as we go through module 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. I believe by the time you go through the process, you build your skill set in being able to run your discretes and some elements of the inferentials comfortably for yourself. And then, unlike here, because this was a kind of introduction also to talk about the key concepts, we would also go into more details with more practical hands-on based on the training. So having said that, I want to thank you for having made our time to be here. We are very, very grateful for your time together. And thank you, and do have a good night's rest and good night. Thank you. Except there's any other question, we will draw this training to a close at this point, except there's a question. Hello?
Hi.
Okay, I don't know if there's any question or any other queries. Okay. Okay, thank you very much and good night. And let's keep up on the page and continue the conversations there. Thank you. And good night.
Thank you.